So in Denmark in 2025, we have seen various issues, but there's some that is more important to highlight. And one thing especially is how Denmark is increasingly questioning what obligations Denmark have to live up to in terms of international law, conventions that we are parties to. And 2025 saw the establishment of a convention ambassador and the launch of an investigation into what obligations Denmark have under the Human Rights Convention and whether we can maybe step out of some of the elements of the convention. And that means that suddenly we are afraid that in the future Denmark risk huge rights violations. And linked to that is also an increasing questioning of what judgments we should actually implement, for instance, from the Court of Justice. The example worth mentioning is the so-called ghetto law that the Court of Justice came out with in December, and where some politicians said because it was not in line with the wishes of these politicians that we should just ignore it. Another big issue, which is more, you can say, on the meta level, is how the for civic society is not just shrinking, it's more changing the topography. So that means that certain civil society organizations or movements and activists, they don't have the same possibility to access their rights or to enjoy their rights because they're representing rights that are not aligning with the government line or the mainstream politicians' view on these rights. And that is especially climate activists, it is people working with refugees and migrants, it's people working on the Palestinian solidarity movement. And it really is signaling how we no longer necessarily have a universally civic space that everybody can enjoy in the same way, but we're increasingly coming into a civic space where certain groups have less rights or less possibility to exercise their democratic rights. And that is something we're very concerned about in Denmark.
A big issue in Denmark in 2025 has been the defunding of civil society organizations. And it has been an issue regarding organizations that deal with issues that perhaps are not in line with the government, and they have seen an increase there from politicians regarding a threat or a risk of their fundings. And it's a big issue as it makes for organizations to limit themselves when speaking about these issues publicly. And also we've seen an issue regarding perhaps not the actual laws, but the practice of the laws and how it's being implemented regarding funding and that. And that makes it also an issue for the civic space, as perhaps the laws are okay and they're good, but the practice of them makes it so that funding is harder to get for the civil society organizations, and also that it then makes it harder to speak about issues that are then not in line with the government.